So my name is 𝙲𝙷𝙰𝙰𝙿𝚃. I'm a makeup artist. I have been doing makeup artistry for about 9 years, but just to let you know, most of the techniques I've learned and will be showing in this series are going to be based on just trial and error, playing around, different clients that have come that don't always fit the mold of how makeup should work. It's not meant to be the artist approach that you might get if you go see a makeup artist. It's going to be sort of a combination of like science and art of how we're going to fix the effects of aging. And that's also because my background is that I took Bachelor of Nursing and nursed for about 17 years before I transitioned into makeup artistry. So I have a sort of a twofold way of looking at things. And a lot of this series is going to be based on my understanding of all of the things happening in our skin and the artistry aspect of how to fix it. The first two things I'm going to cover are very related to one another. The solution is one and the same, so I've grouped them together. That is going to be focusing on our under eyes. So I have facial makeup on, I do not have anything under my eyes, and I'm going to demonstrate on one eye to show you the difference between the two sides, and hopefully it works for you. You can practice and start getting back to enjoying makeup the way you should. Now, the solution for this is going to be very specific to the people that are suffering with the problems I'm going to mention. It's not going to apply to everyone. Not everyone has these issues. There's going to come a point where a lot of people will look in the mirror and they'll say, oh my goodness, what is happening to my makeup? It's not as good anymore. They must have changed something. Sometimes it actually is what is happening to your skin. That is what has changed. It's not so much the product. Maybe the product no longer functions quite the way you need it to. Sometimes you just need to adapt a skill slightly to make it work. So these tips are hopefully going to find that happy place for you. And the demographic I'm speaking to in particular is those that tend to find concealer dries throughout the day. When they get towards the end of the day, their concealer started off looking amazing and now it doesn't look as good. Doesn't seem to matter how much eye cream they put on, they just look a little drier. And those people also maybe get a lot of sleep and they still look tired. What is happening to these people? This is the person I'm talking to. Okay, so the first thing that happens, the whole sleeping thing, you've looked in the mirror and you're like, why do I still look tired? Well, as we age, our eyes actually sink in a little bit deeper. So there's a loss of tissues in general that helps support it. So your eyes can sink in a little bit, your eyes can get a little bit heavy, gravity's pulling things down. Now you have more prominent brow bone, and when the light is overhead, it can cast a bit of shadowing under your eye. So you tend to have a little bit more grayness under there, even if your under eye is not problematic, even if you've slept. So the second thing is, as we age, I don't know if you've ever noticed the eye cream thing, you're putting on moisturization, you put your concealer on, by the time the day has gone, you're like, oh, it just looks so bad. So this approach, the solution for it is going to be, it's going to cover both. And it's really unique. It won't work for everybody. I'm just going to throw that out. But somebody who needs this solution, when they try it, they're going to be like, oh, thank you. So what is that going to be? It's a layered approach. I'm not talking about layering the same concealer twice. I'm talking about layering two different types of concealer together. That's going to be a wax-based concealer and a liquid concealer. Now I know what you're thinking, wow, that sounds heavy. This is where you have to be very strategic. You're going to do a thin layer of this and a thin layer of this. If you did 2 layers of this or 2 layers of this, it can be very cakey for some people. This is how the magic works together. Both of these products have ingredients that work well together. So what is happening that's going to make this work really well under the other one? When you think about the loss of tissue that I was talking about under here, it's like losing a layer of skin. So the wax-based concealer is going to act as your skin depth layer. The other thing it's also going to do is add some pigment to help counteract some of the darkness underneath so that the liquid concealer has its chance to really brighten the under eye. By itself, sometimes, depending how dark it is under there, if it's both color correcting, like adding pigment back in there, and brightening, it can create a little bit of a shadowing. It's lightening up what's already under there, and it could just make it look a little ashy. So if you put a wax-based concealer in your facial shade first, it will have a better chance of going under there, brightening things up. The next thing is wax-based concealers act as like a little bit of a skin barrier in and of itself. So that's why I call it the skin depth layer. It will, just like your skin, hold moisture in a lot better than something like a liquid concealer, which is amazing for most normal skin, oily skin, but the really dry folks, they need something that's not going to be sucking the water content of this out. And so that's where the wax base comes in. It's going to sit under your eye and it's going to hold the moisture in so that the two can work really well together. Now, choosing which color to use, there's a bit more to this. I don't want to put it in this video. I would say start with your skin color if you happen to already have these wax-based concealers. If you have a lot of extra darkness, I'm going to have another video for you that's going to help you choose a little bit more strategically and why. The liquid concealer that I'm using, I want to add, it's a new formula that is very smoothing. It is so beautiful. I've been so happy and I've been using it so many different ways with the rest of my makeup. So this series is really going to cover all of that. So you're going to see a lot of cool things that happen with this one product. And I just want to add, I'm going to be putting up an outline of everything I talk about on my business page along with this video so that you can have a reference point, go back. Maybe some people are more visual, they want to read it. It's going to cover the things in a way that will make it simple to repeat. So you might want to go over and follow my business page. I will probably put that down below so you can find it easily. It is called Little Black Book. Okay, so let's jump into the solutions. So the first thing we always want to do is hydrate our under eyes. I'm just going to add a little bit underneath my eye. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about those. Let's make it easy. Let's not focus on names and things like that. It will be in one place for you. Once that has had a chance to dry, you're going to move on to your wax-based concealer. I'm going to be using this particular brush, which I love. It's a brand new release one for us. It works differently than pretty much any other one I've ever tried. It really deserves its own spotlight. So I'm probably going to put a post up about it sometime very soon so you can understand a bit more about it. You need to turn this on the side, okay? Go into your concealer because you don't want to use too much. I'm going to go into the inner corner of my eye right here, and I'm going to just bring it down in kind of stripes, just like that. Now I'm only going to cover what is sort of thin and dark looking. I'm going to leave the rest. I don't really need extra. Extra problems can happen. So then I wipe off my little bit of product. I'm going to look in the mirror and just make sure all of it is nicely laying down. Okay, I think I'm pretty happy with that. And then I'm going to go in with, this is my facial shade of concealer. Because I've added my skin layer, I don't need something one shade lighter in order to brighten. So this is a slightly different way than other ways I've maybe told you if you've watched other videos, because again, it's for a certain person. If you're heavy-handed, you might want to go and take your brush and put a little bit on your brush. If you're not and you're not too worried, you can put a dot right under your eyes. I think as a beginner, you might want to just start with your brush. And I always start kind of in reverse. So I kind of go down here and I work my way back up. And that's because in my case, I have a vein right there that I do want to conceal without adding too much extra. Now, if yours is on the inner corner, if your darkness is the inner corner, you might want to start there and then work your way out. And so I basically just go over top and just pull it down, much in the same way. And then I pull it down to just overlap over your face a tiny bit. Do you see how bright that looks already? Again, it's my facial shade. I did not go one shade lighter. This is the impact of using the wax layer underneath. So I'm going to take and turn my brush sideways, and now I'm going to start to whisk it out into the rest of my under eye, like that. And then with what's left, I just sort of blend it into my cheekbone. That way it's really natural looking. It sort of blends into the rest of your makeup, gives you a little under eye highlight, more bang for your buck, if you will. And then once you've done all of that, you just want to make sure that you let it dry before you set it so that the powder doesn't start to affect the formula itself. Okay, so now the next step is setting it. And this one I feel is going to be very important for some people, most people in this situation. What's going to be different is, depending on you, if you're ultra dry, you might not want to use powder In your case, you might want to just use a setting spray. If you are fairly normal, maybe you're like combination, you might want to use a little bit of powder plus spray. So play around to see what you think. If you have the foundation, you probably already have the powder. Make sure when you go in, you start very lightly. You can always add more, but I find if you put too much powder under there, it can get too heavy very quickly. There is a fine line with it. You can get away with just a little for some people. So I always start where I need to be less shiny, because that might not be my entire under eye. The rest of it, I actually want it to look real, like skin has a natural shine. So if I put over the whole under eye, it can look really matte, which for me might not be very natural looking. For somebody who has really oily skin, they might put it on because as the day wears on, the oil is going to come through, grip to the powder, and it's going to kind of keep it like a semi-matte. So see where you are, see which person you are, and try both. The best thing to do is to play around, because I find people, the only way you really know where you stand in things is you just got to tinker around. Take a few days to have some me time and a little bit of fun doing crafts with your face. All right, so in my case, I like to use that little bit of powder, and then I wait and I take and spray my face. And I generally go right across my eyes so I can make sure I get it. And what the setting spray is going to do is fuse it. It's going to kind of blur edges. It's going to make it last all day long. It's going to make it so it doesn't crease, doesn't do anything funky. It's something I really can't skip because it works so well. So the last thing I'm going to say about this little piece of sequence, there is going to be some people that, based on how their under eye is, they might have a little tiny spot where they have a fold. And if you find that your concealer has collected in there a little bit, it's not that the concealer is creasing, it's that you have a fold that has collected concealer and has not allowed it to dry. So unless you stretch your skin and let it dry, which I don't recommend, the best thing to do is just grab a Q-tip before you spray set it. Take and just remove that tiny little bit. It'll all blend together and you're on your way. Okay, so as you can see, this under eye looks natural, brighter. This one still looks like it's a little bit shadowed, just a little see-through, and it's not really fitting the rest of my makeup. So just to recap, the first thing you're going to do is hydrate, let that soak in. Then you're going to apply your layering technique, where you consider it like a sandwich. The wax-based concealer is going to sit there like a barrier, hold moisture in. We apply a light layer of liquid concealer, and that's going to brighten things, smooth it out, and help it connect and look seamless to the rest of your makeup, all without looking cakey. And then you're going to set it. For very dry skin or advanced aging, I recommend setting with a hydrating spray, and normal to oily skin can use a light powder first. Some will use both. I use both. How to determine which person you are. If you find that powder makes your skin look drier or settle into fine lines, you're going to be the one that goes with the setting spray. All right, I hope you guys give this a try. I hope that it will take you to that next level you've been looking for. This technique should work with most top quality brands. I can't guarantee the results from other companies because I've only ever worked with the one that I represent, and that's Limelife by Alcone. There's lots of reasons why I choose Limelife. I'm not going to put it in this video because it's quite a technical video and I don't want to make this longer than I need to. It is going to come up very soon because I feel like understanding the whys of why you use something, why something works, all of that is just as important as how you apply it, because belief in what you're doing really makes things more effective. If you want to take on a free consultation with me to find something that's going to work for you or how we're going to adapt this for you, your color choices, all of the rest, please feel free to reach out to me. If you have somebody you already deal with, obviously you'll reach out to her. If you do want that personalized help, I do suggest that you seek out a beauty guide because that is why they're here. Thank you guys so much for watching this, and I'm super excited to see you guys for the next video where we cover the next step in the aging process.